Hello everyone and welcome to the Redmen TV, and what a show we've got for you right now. It's the uncensored match build up ahead of Liverpool versus Real Madrid. Yes, this time last year we were doing match previews, with all due respect, for Liverpool versus insert random Europa League team here. This time it's the big guns, it's Liverpool versus Real Madrid. The fixture which actually hasn't been too kind for Liverpool in the recent past, but hopefully they can put a change to that at Anfield on Wednesday evening. I'm Steve Hall, joined by Chris Coughlin and Sam Milne to have a big old chat about it. But first, let us say a huge thank you to everyone. Last night we won the Fan Media Channel Podcast of the season at the Northwest Football Awards. There you go, there's the self-indulgent tweet. So thanks to everyone who voted, thanks for the panel, thanks for you guys as well for watching or listening and helping us win that award. Dan had a lovely time at the awards ceremony, which I'm very jealous of because I've been to the last three or something and we've never won. And then this time when Dan goes, we win, which he got to go on stage, which was fantastic. So thanks very much appreciated. Hope you don't mind us being a little bit self-indulgent. One more thing very, very quickly. We will start the chat about Liverpool versus Real Madrid in a second, but we do have a sponsor for today's YouTube show. So yeah, check this out, and I'll be back with Chris and with Sam after this tiny break. Hey guys, this Redmen TV show is sponsored by our good friends over at NordVPN. I want to let you know that NordVPN allows you to become safer online with just a single click, thanks to Threat Protection Pro. It offers advanced protection from malware, phishing, scams, and all other online threats too. Furthermore, for Liverpool supporters just like us, NordVPN can allow you to keep up to date with the Reds even when you're travelling. For example, if Liverpool are playing and you're away but you want to watch the Reds on a streaming service or a TV channel that is available back at home, simply log in with NordVPN, access that streaming service or TV channel that you're used to watching, and you can keep up to date with Arne Slot's men wherever you find yourself in the world. So yeah, signing up to NordVPN is an absolute no-brainer, but all that was enough, we do have an exclusive offer for our Redmen TV viewers. If you go to nordvpn.com/Redmen or click the link that is in the description of this video, you'll get an exclusive money-saving deal plus 4 months extra, and it's completely risk-free thanks to NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. So become safer online with NordVPN today, and don't forget to use that exclusive offer over at nordvpn.com/Redmen. Yeah, welcome back, and yeah, thanks very much to NordVPN. Get yourselves involved. Black Friday deals. Go to NordVPN/Redmen. Yeah, keep yourself safe online, and perhaps if you ever want to change your location of where you are to match somewhere else, perhaps to watch a football game or two, if you get me drifting, yeah, NordVPN is the place to go. More so if you're travelling away and like the match is being shown in your home country and you need to travel, yeah, you get the gist. Go to nordvpn.com/Redmen, and thanks to them as well. Right then, guys, self-indulgence over there as well with the awards. Thank yous to everybody. Let's talk big game, Sam. This is a huge game. It's Liverpool versus Real Madrid. The interesting one is actually Liverpool have put themselves in such a strong position. Real Madrid have found themselves in a really weak position relatively in this whole group phase thing. It actually feels like it's a bigger game and more pressure on Real Madrid than there is on Liverpool, which is, usually when we play these, it's a knockout game, it's a final, as we all know. This is different, really. The tables have turned. It feels like Madrid are coming to Anfield with a bit more pressure on themselves.
Absolutely, and it feels strange to say, but before the start of the season, we were kind of saying win your home games, but we've done that well away from home as well against Leipzig and Milan. This is almost, don't want to say a free hit because it's Liverpool in Europe, but it feels like we've earned that through being consistent away from home. And it's funny because ahead of the last week, we were kind of like, oh, Madrid's a massive game, City. This game, because Southampton was so big, because of the Salah contract talk, because City have dropped points, it's almost become a bit of an afterthought because we've got City at the weekend and it's 11 points clear if we beat them. And so it's almost become like, should we rest a couple of players, which, I mean, I'm sure we'll get onto, yeah. But that seems a bit mad, and we were slating Brendan Rodgers for doing that a few years ago.
We're going to speak about that as well. You've half nicked my agenda there. Chris, it's interesting because as it stands, Real Madrid at 18th in this mad group phase, they've got 6 points, so they've played 4, won 2, lost 2, obviously in that order as well. They've listen, you would think at some point Real Madrid are going to do enough to get through this one, but like their prospects of getting in the top 8 are they're hanging by a thread, really. You know, they're on 6 points now, 8th position's currently on 9. That's Aston Villa. If they don't, you know, if they don't win at Anfield, that gap only goes to increase. And they're coming to Liverpool as well with a couple of injuries. Like, they're Real Madrid, and you'd be stupid to ever write them off. But actually, it feels like, for once, maybe in a while, like Liverpool might be in a stronger position than Real Madrid are going into one of these type of games.
Oh, 100%. I think it's been really emphasised as well for anybody that wasn't really sure on the format, that given the amount of games, finishing in that top 8 is really, really important in terms of skipping that playoff round and going straight into the last 16.
And getting seeded.
And getting seeded, of course, as well. It's interesting in terms of, I mean, Real Madrid, away to Lille, that was a really big shock for me in terms of losing that game. And at home against AC Milan, but the warning signs had been there against Dortmund, especially as well, when they were 2-0 down, and then Vinicius Junior just went on a mad one in the second half. But again, I've always thought about Real Madrid, and this is any era, that they'll give you chances. And I know they've got injuries, and I know Liverpool playing very well, but even if Real Madrid didn't have injury issues, I would have still thought Liverpool would at least be getting chances in this game. And to kind of compare it to what Liverpool have done so far, you know, to be 4 wins out of 4, having played Milan, Leipzig, and Bayer Leverkusen, obviously Bologna in there as well, that is a really, really good achievement. I don't think that can be understated either.
Yeah, absolutely right, mate. And it's interesting, Sam, because after us, they go to Atalanta away, which we know hasn't been easy. After that, they play Salzburg and then they play Brest. You would think that they'll do enough there to make, at least guarantee themselves this, the place in the knockout phase where they might have to play the extra games. But yeah, we're not actually getting Real Madrid perhaps at their best in terms of squad either, because we're going to speak now. They've announced, obviously, Vinicius Junior is the latest player to hit the injury list for them. They're bringing over a 19-man squad. They're missing, you know, likes of Militao. They're missing Tchouaméni now. They're missing Vinicius. They've got David Alba's missing for a while. They have got Lucas Vazquez back, but yet they've got 6 players, 6 key players as well for them. We're not getting fully fit and firing Real Madrid here. We are getting, listen, look at the names. They've still got Bellingham, Valverde, Mbappe. They're not short of quality, but they're probably a little bit short on numbers. And those options to rest and rotate, it's the same lads probably going to be asked to go again.
Yeah, looking at the two teams, I think we can expect, touch wood, a really exciting game, because although Madrid do have that attacking talent, Vinicius isn't playing, but that in some ways might bring the best out of Mbappe. If you look at their defence, it's really inexperienced to some extent in the positions that they're playing. So Asensio might be playing centre-back with Rudiger, and he's only played 2 games, I think, for them.
He's a young kid, he's a 2021.
Have been clean sheets, I think, in the last 2 games, and like 7-0 aggregate. But aside from that, they've also had to play left-back, they've had to play a young lad, and although Mendy might be coming back, and then right-back, Carvajal's been out, Vasquez has also been out, so they played Federico Valverde there, and he has done well. Ancelotti called him the third best right back in the world after their other 2 right backs, so why do they need Trent? Not quite sure why they need Trent, but Vasquez might come back in for this one, but even he's not really a natural right back particularly, or he's a right back that you would say we can get at, especially with the form of Diaz, who might start.
Absolutely. And I suppose as well, Chris, like, again, looking at the squad, it's still full of quality, but you know, they've got Courtois back, which is massive for them. Like, you know, and again, no Liverpool fan needs to be reminded of how good Courtois can be against Liverpool for Real Madrid. They have the back four is probably going to be Vazquez, Rudiger, Mendy, Asensio. Asensio centre back with Mendy at left back. Midfield, you're still looking at, you know, quality. Yeah. Bellingham and Camavinga. Maybe that's where they throw Valverde, depending on what they might want to put him up front. Like, they're going to have a quality team, but like I say, they are missing a couple, and I suppose Vinicius is the big one in that we know he's really hurt Liverpool. You know, him and Karim Benzema were the 2 ones who hurt us a couple of times in recent years. One's left and one's now injured. Like, again, it's probably going to be Mbappe. They'll be fine, but also you can't ignore the fact that, you know, Vinicius, second best player in the world, has had continued success against Liverpool. That is a boost for us, no matter which way you paint it.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the 5-2 a couple of years ago, and I know Liverpool maybe weren't in the best moment at that time, but I've never seen in my lifetime a team come to Anfield and rip Liverpool apart as easily as Real Madrid did that night. It was scary to watch, and as you say, the quality is still there. It's undeniably still there. it's interesting how they will turn up at the back, because you mentioned Mendy potentially as a centre half, possibly. He's obviously not a centre half. Fran Garcia, they're the two left back options. Asensio, if he plays, is a really interesting one, because he's basically like a bit older, but he's like their Pau Kabasi, isn't he? Or their version, that he's only just come into the first team. Jesus Vallejo is their only other centre half in that squad, and he's only played one substitute appearance this entire season, so I'm not expecting him to play. I made a comment on the live stream in the build up to Southampton on Friday about are Real Madrid capable of sitting back, and I saw one of the comments come through saying Real Madrid are really comfortable sitting back. Do you watch football? Well, I mean, admittedly I don't watch Real Madrid every single game because they're on one of the extra channels that you've got to pay an arm and a leg for, but the reason why I said that is because Real Madrid, there is an expectation on them from borderline millions of people to win every single game, and so they've got to go for every single game, and that's what I mean about, I always think Real Madrid leave possibilities for chances because they push high, they look to attack at every opportunity, and the way Liverpool play and can easily counter-attack, that's why I'm feeling good about tomorrow night.
It's worth mentioning, let's talk through some of the key players as well, and Sam, obviously it starts with Kylian Mbappe. Ironically, like I say, he's kind of had a bit of a cob on that he wants to play on the left, but Vinicius been on the left and he's been up front, and now Vinicius is out. We'll wait and see what Carlo Ancelotti does. Does he decide to keep Mbappe up front? Because he's still got other options, of course, as well. He can use Diaz, he can use Valverde,
Hendrick,
Goulet as well. He's got plenty of options. But if Mbappe gets his wish and goes left wing, he'll fancy his chances against Conor. He'll fancy a chance against anyone. He's fucking killing Mbappe. I understand that, but more so against Conor Bradley. I'd be interested to see if that's what Carlo Ancelotti does. Because I'll be honest, if I was him, that's what I'd do. I'd say to Mbappe, right, you've been moaning for this, go and have a go at it and prove how good you are. And that is, as tests come for young Conor Bradley, that's as big as it's going to get.
Yeah, it's interesting because kind of when he was coming through, we thought of Mbappe as a future striker, but he's very much tended to play at his best from the left. If you want to make Henry comparisons, you kind of can. And Vinicius has actually been the one who's had to kind of learn to play through the middle, which is something he's got better at over the years. He's had to do it with Rodrigo as well, who preferred playing on the left, who's also injured at the moment. And so Mbappe actually at the weekend started on that left, and according to the Real Madrid podcast I was listening to, he played quite well. But he scored 9 goals this season, which is still a good return. But what they were kind of saying was he doesn't seem to be as confident as he was at PSG. Some of the finishes that he was just burying at PSG, he's not making it Real Madrid for whatever reason. That's not to say he can't turn up at Anfield and score a hat-trick. I think we could all see that happening very easily. But if he plays like he did at the weekend against Leganes, I think he could pose a big threat to Bradley. But I'd be confident as Liverpool. I don't think Bradley's a much worse defender than Trent is. I don't think there's a massive difference there. I think Liverpool have got to look at it and be confident in themselves and put Real Madrid on the back foot from the start.
Absolutely. And Chris, we've all dreamed of Jude Bellingham playing at Anfield. Unfortunately, we're going to get it tomorrow, but not in the guise that we all wanted it to be a couple of years ago when we were all desperate for Jude Bellingham to come to Liverpool. He went to Real Madrid, and so far it's worked out for him. He's done all right. It feels like, again, he is such a threat, and again, he can do so many jobs, but that late run into the box, scoring goals again, he scores at the weekend. Again, this is what happens when you play Real Madrid. You come up against some of the world's best players, and Bellingham is undoubtedly that. Liverpool are going to have to do their best to keep a lid on him as well.
Yeah, he's hit form as well because he scored in his last 2 La Liga games. He was actually getting a little bit of criticism, because I think in his first 10, 11 games, he literally had 1 assist, no goals, 1 assist, and that's a far cry from what he was doing last year. Where every time you looked at your phone and saw Real Madrid score, you just expected the goal to be Bellingham. But ultimately, he is hitting some form. We saw again for England the international break as well. Forced the own goal from Greece, a couple of assists against Ireland as well. So you're getting the feeling that he's getting back into it. Because even the nature of his goal against Leganes, where the ball hit the crossbar and he's more instinctively following in, and you get the feeling he's getting his confidence back as well. I just wanted to touch on Sam's point about Mbappe and the confidence side. I think it's really interesting in that he was caught offside 8 times in El Clasico, I think, when Barca won 4-0.
This is an ongoing thing as well.
Yeah. So And even then, he scored against Leganes before he scored, and that was called offside. So I just wonder if teams are becoming a little bit wise to Mbappe, because Liverpool, of course, they themselves will play a high line. I think if there's one defender in the world, one centre half in the world that probably could keep track with Mbappe, it was Van Dijk a couple of years ago. I think Konate could easily step up to that mantle now. But I just wonder if that's something that a few teams are being a bit bolder on trying to keep Mbappe offside. But then if Mbappe's offside, then you've got a deep run from Bellingham, you've got Goulet, Endrick, Valverde, everyone. So, but no, Bellingham, it does feel like he's putting his criticism behind him and really starting to kind of get back to what he was doing last year.
And I think Bellingham as well, in his first season he was scoring goals, he was playing in a freer role, and I think at the start of this season we've seen him play a bit more defense. Not as a defensive midfielder.
Has impacted that midfield, hasn't it?
Yeah, as a box-to-box player, but at the weekend he was getting between like the forward and the midfield lines. Camavinga was playing really well. But again, it's just to emphasise the point that Liverpool should be thinking we can get on top of them. Is Camavinga, he is their number 6, but he very much is quite free in his role. He'll roam forwards. I think Liverpool can really put them on the back foot.
You'd like to hope so. You'd definitely like to hope so. With that being said, we'll talk in a couple of moments about how Liverpool should line up. Should they rest players? Should they go full strength? All of that good stuff. We're going to do that after the break. Before we get to it though, I do have a trivia question, and this was given to me by producer Aaron upstairs about 5 minutes ago. Do you remember last time Liverpool rested players against Real Madrid? Obviously, you probably do. It was the Bernabeu in 2014 under Brendan Rodgers. I'm going to ask you guys, can you remember the Liverpool starting 11 from that game? Put your phone away. No cheating.
I was going to write them in memos. 4G's off.
We'll be back with that answer. And of course, I'll look at Liverpool's tactics after this quick break.
Ho, 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 and a very merry festive season from all of us at Redmen TV. We have got, as has become standard for Christmas, an incredible giveaway this December. If you head to redmenplus.com, join or upgrade to Legend tier status, then you will be in a prize draw each and every day throughout December for one of these fantastic Liverpool themed prizes. We've got prints, we've got books, and we've got so much signed ex-Liverpool Legend merch as well. We have got this shirt, it's signed by David Fairclough. This one here, the biggie, the main prize, signed by the King, Kenny Dalglish, Neil Mellor, Bruce Grobbelaar. There's a Michael Owen thing over there as well. Yes, incredible range of Liverpool gifts, in addition to the wonderful content that we're going to be giving you all the way leading up to Christmas and beyond over on Redmen Plus. But yes, sign up as a Legend tier status or upgrade from Captain to Legend this festive season to get your name in the draw and win some amazing stuff this Crimbo.
Yes, welcome back. As Paul just told you, redmenplus.com, sign up as a legend, and in December we're giving away 25 amazing prizes, which culminates with that signed Kenny Dalglish shirt, but there's loads and loads of boss stuff. So it'll cost you $9.99 to join up for a month. You'll get all access to loads more content and all that kind of stuff, and also your name into 25 different prize draws. So yeah, get yourselves involved if you want to do so, and I highly encourage you to do that. Right, lads, I asked you before the break, Liverpool's 11 2014 went to Bernabeu, got beat 1-0. Ironically, did better than we did in the home game when we played all the good lads. Can we name the team? So let's start. So I'll go one each. Sam, who's in goal? 2014.
Mignolet?
Yeah. Defence then, full-backs, Chris?
Was Manquillo?
Yes.
Right. That was my one, yeah.
Left-back?
Left-back. Sissoko had gone by then, so I'm going to go Moreno.
Well done. Centre-backs.
I know for a fact one of them was Kolo Touré.
Kolo Touré was one of them. Who was the other one? Captain on the night?
Lovren?
No.
Sacco?
No.
Oh, my word. Oh, brain frost.
See, mine was Touré as well.
It was, I'll give it, it was Martin Scale.
Oh.
He was the captain. Midfield, then any guesses?
Joe Allen?
Joe Allen, one of them, yeah.
Emre Can?
Emre Can?
Markovic?
Yes.
Lallana?
Yes. You've got a midfielder, a DM, and then a striker.
Barini's 100% the striker.
Barini is the striker, so you've got your DM left. And actually, a pretty good player for Liverpool and played a bazillion games for us. DM
Lucas
Leiva, there you go.
We've done well there.
Well done. The only one you didn't get was Skittle. So Mignolet, Torre, Moreno, Manquillo, Skittle, Lallana, Leiva, Emre Can, Joe Allen, Lazar Markovic, Fabio Borini, and then a bench of Brad Jones, Glenn Johnson, Steven Gerrard, Phil Coutinho, Jordan Henderson, Raheem Sterling, and Mario Balotelli. So Brendan Rodgers decided, Sam, to rest players in that game because of what was lying ahead. Liverpool play Manchester City on Sunday with a chance to go 11 points clear of Manchester City in the Premier League. They are top of the Champions League group, having won all of their games so far. Is there any case whatsoever for not... bear in mind the squad's better than that. Like if Liverpool make with all due respect, if Liverpool make changes, Fabio Borini was not getting a game this time. Is there any sense whatsoever in wholesale changes? Or do you just have to take the game as it comes?
There is the case for it, but I think the players themselves would be annoyed if he was to do it and drop players. So I don't think, as we were complaining about in 2014, it's Liverpool in the Champions League against Real Madrid. It doesn't really matter on whether it's a dead rubber. Well, it's not quite a dead rubber yet, I don't think you can underestimate the occasion and how much the players will want to make a mark as well after losing 4 times to them in the last few years. And Salah especially, could you imagine if he was dropped for this game? How many interviews would be in the mix zone afterwards?
He's already kicking off now. Imagine if he doesn't play against Real Madrid.
You go to the mix zone before the changing rooms.
He'd be in there as soon as he gets off the bus. It is worth mentioning as well, Chris. Like, it's worth mentioning. Like Liverpool are, you'd be shocked that Liverpool don't end up in this top 8. But there is also the higher up you finish, the better your seeded are for the next set of rounds as well. So like it isn't like a Champions League game where you're playing the 5th game guaranteed top spot. It is different. Like Liverpool are only 2 points ahead of Sporting and Monaco and Brest and Inter Milan. So like they're not anywhere close to being guaranteed first place. They are 3 points ahead of 8th. So they're not. You would think that Liverpool will get enough points in the next couple of games against it's Girona, isn't it? And
Girona, PSV and Lille.
So you think that they're going to do... You think, but you never know. Therefore, you're probably looking at more of just picking your best team and less City, worrying about City, I suppose.
I always remember as well, harking back to that game at the Bernabeu, that Gerrard said that was kind of the moment he decided really to leave Liverpool, because he was getting benched for a game of that magnitude. And I'm not saying there's any particular players in that squad, well, maybe apart from one or two if they were benched for this. But
shove your contract, lads.
I'm the same as Sam. I just think you've got an opportunity really to really rubber stamp your place in the top 8. As much as we all think Liverpool will be in the top 8, and it would really be a bit of a disaster if they weren't in that top 8 by this time now, or in terms of from this position. The confidence of everyone, again, I kind of said it on Friday when we were talking about potential rotation for Southampton, and I'm very glad there was very little rotation, if at all, given that how difficult a game it turned out to be. You're talking about confidence, just taking it to game after game after game. This is the kind of game, even if it's the league phase and not the knockout stages, every single player in that squad will be wanting to play against Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And I think there's that many players with confidence right now. They'll want to get out and keep going. Again, I know we'll get on to talking about who we'll be choosing in a second, but yeah, I just think everyone should be preparing as if they're going to play. But for me, I'm looking at a strong side.
Yeah, I think you're right. But it's worth mentioning, by the way, after Rodgers rested in Madrid, Liverpool got beat by Chelsea and then beat by Crystal Palace. So it didn't work anyway. So 4 days later, they got beat by Chelsea and then lost a few days later to Crystal Palace. Doesn't always work out that way. Let's talk team then. We both agreed, Sam, he's not going to play the reserves. Sorry, Jayden Dans. It would have been nice, but I don't think that's happening right now. We are recording this, by the way. It is currently 10:57 a.m. We are live. Arne Slot's press conference isn't until like 3:30 this afternoon, so one of those things, if anything happens between now and then, we can only apologise, but we're guessing there's nobody else back is the general rule of thumb. There was a bit of talk on Alisson, maybe on Trent, but I don't think the manager will risk either of them. We now know Tsimikas is out as well. He missed the weekend, and that's a bit more of a long term. He's picked up a little ankle injury. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks, so that's what we know right now. We're assuming that nobody else got injured at the weekend and nobody else is coming back. Touch wood is where we're at. If that changes, like I say, in the next, when Arne Slot speaks in about 4.5 hours time, can only apologise. We schedule a show at the same time every week, and he usually does his pressers at 9:30. He's changed his mind. Fair enough, he's entitled to do it. He's doing whatever he wants. He's clearly fantastic. So presuming, Chris, we've got the same squad at the weekend. and we presume Kelleher in goal. If Alisson's fit, again, that changes, and I'm sure he just comes straight back in. It didn't look like that was going to be the case, though. Defence is interesting. We've mentioned there before, no Timmercast, so you've got Andy Robbo, Conor Bradley, Virgil van Dijk, Bukanate, who started the weekend, and then there's a massive question about Joe Gomez, who could go on to either flank. If you're worried about Mbappe against Bradley, you could go Joey, go over there. If you're worried about Andy Robertson's form, which I think is fair to say, I think Timmercast would have played one of these next 2 games. You've got Joe Gomez as an option there as well. What way would you do? I think we'd all agree that centre-back's going to be the same, but is Gomez playing in either of the full-back positions for you?
You know what? Until you said that, I hadn't really given it too much of a thought, because I do think it'll be Robertson, because he's spoken about having doubters at the club for the first time really in a long time. And look, he wasn't great against Southampton. I think Tyler Dibbling is their starring player, their shining light, and he was given a tough time. He'll be annoyed by that. He'll be really annoyed by that. He's got pride in how he plays. He's got pride in putting up good performances for Liverpool. And even though I do think in the summer, left back probably is a situation that Slot will look at, I think Robertson will play. Gomez, though, that's interesting, because if you're talking about someone as flying as Mbappe, as much faith as I have in Conor Bradley, that's put a little bit of a consideration in my mind, I think. Because, again, Bradley didn't have his greatest game at the weekend. He can do so much better, and again, I've got so much faith in the guy. But we know Gomez is a bit more defensively minded when it comes to that situation. And faster. So I could see why Slot would play him there, and now you're saying it, it almost wouldn't surprise me.
What do you think, Sam?
You've talked me into Gomez as well there.
Right back or left back?
Right back.
See, I was thinking left back.
So you're thinking Bradley?
See, I think when Andy Robertson needs to step up, he steps up. Before the international break, he was getting a few questions asked, and then the team we played, the game before the international break, he was quality. And so I think Robertson starts left back. I think Slot needs to show that faith in him. Personally, I'd start Bradley as well, because I think we're good enough to control it. Obviously, Madrid will have their times, but I think we're good enough, and Bradley's good enough to have his moments and control the game.
It's where there, Sam, you think, like I say, Bradley's just played back-to-back for Northern Ireland, and then he plays Southampton, and then to play Real Madrid, and then we'll see where we're at for City. We don't know where Trent's going to be at yet. The latest we know is like that's touch and go. It's whether you can think Conor Bradley, having not played a lot of football, can then go and play 5 games on the spin where he's been asked to do a lot of work. And again, I understand it's Real Madrid, but I think there is a case to say Gomez plays one of them. And that, again, it could be City. It could absolutely be Manchester City, and you say Gomez has done well against City before. But I personally would be shocked if Conor Bradley played all 3 of the games this week. And which one, if he's not going to play and Trent's not fit, which one does Joe Gomez play would be the question, wouldn't it?
And I think on that point as well, you'd rather Bradley against Everton for that next week, and probably Newcastle as well. Yeah. So if you're looking forward, with Trent might not probably be fit post-City, we'd think. Maybe City, we're not sure. But I think Bradley, personally Slot should just play through. I think we've been coming to a point now where there's so many players in this team that get better with minutes. I think Bradley's the same, personally, because he doesn't play that often. He goes away and then plays with Northern Ireland and comes back, and he has to come in from the colder bits. Yeah. Whereas he saw last year when he had a run of games how good he was. But I do completely understand why Gomez would be a good option.
And he is a good option. We'll wait and see. I think I've changed my mind, actually. I think I'd play Gomez at right back and keep Robbo in, because I think Madrid's biggest threat's going to come from their left. They've got good players on the right, whether it's Valverde or Goulet, or it could be Hendrick, couldn't it? Could
the right back as well. Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the things I've just thought, because given that it'll likely be Lucas Vazquez at right back, or someone that's not a natural right back maybe playing there, I like the idea more of Robertson just being able to bomb on and send in those first time left foot crosses, as opposed to Gomez. He can cross with his left foot, but obviously much more comfortable on his right. I just like that idea, and I think Gomez being more solid at right back. And again, I'm thinking ahead to City. I don't know, we've got more City talk later in the week, but given how bad Gvardiol was against Tottenham, if there's a little bit of a fragility there in that position, and you've got a more attacking right back against City, I understand Bradley playing in that game more.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what the manager does. I think that's what I would do. We'll see what Arne Slot does. I think he's got full confidence in Conor Bradley. We know that, and he deserves to as well. But yeah, we'll see. I do think Gomez plays. It'll just be interesting to see where he plays. Let's talk about midfield then. At the weekend, Sam, I'll start with you. We all know it was Gravenberch, Jones, Szoboszlai, Alexis McAllister after the tip back from Argentina starts on the bench. I would be shocked if Alexis doesn't start. It's who he comes in for.
I think we've had the same conversation before. I think we'd prefer it to be Jones, arguably, but it'll probably be Szoboszlai. Jones and Szoboszlai both played 1.5 games, I think, in the international break, so they've kind of got the same standing there. I think he just picks Szoboszlai for the big games, personally. And whether that's right or not, we're not doing too badly, so we can't complain. Personally, I'd go Jones. I think he keeps the ball. I saw a stat, I don't know how true it was, but that he has the best passing accuracy of any midfielder in the top 5 leagues in Europe, which on one hand you could say maybe he's not being decisive enough with his passing, which personally I don't agree with, but that shows how well he's playing, and I think you've got to keep him in the team like Bradley. He plays better on a run of games when he gets some momentum. We saw the end of last season when he started to pick up momentum playing games. So I'd keep Jones in the team.
Okay. What would you?
I'm a bit torn on it. I agree McAllister coming back in. I think he hasn't hit the heights of last season so far, certainly from when he moved a bit further forward. But I think some of the criticism he's been getting is a bit over the top, really. And
he's just been fine. He just hasn't been brilliant.
Yeah, the guy doesn't get a break. I think he would get into 99%, over 99% of really top clubs, really top club sides. So yeah, I agree. He comes back in. Gravenberch speaks for himself. You talk about there the comparison between Jones and Szoboszlai about getting on a good run. Szoboszlai's just scored his first Premier League goal of the season. I think he put in a really good shift all round, really good work rate numbers as well. I think work rate's going to be so important at Anfield tomorrow night. I agree that Jones maybe carries the ball a bit better, maybe retains it a bit better. I think in more decisive moments, as much as there's this clip going around that Szoboszlai didn't play the ball through to Nunez, I think it was late on. I just think in those decisive moments, if the ball fell on the edge of the box, for example, I'd prefer Szoboszlai in those moments, I think. And that's going to be such a key role in terms of his work rate because, again, he's been getting criticism, Szoboszlai. But if you look at Leipzig, he didn't have amazing attacking numbers in terms of goals and assists, but the work rate was always there, and that's what people said about him a lot. And I just think he's in a really good moment. And again, I know we've got to play Jones and Szoboszlai at different points of games, but I think it would be really good for Szoboszlai's confidence overall to play him. But I agree with you in that I think Slot's a big fan of Jones right now.
I think it's a good problem. We're going to speak about the left wing.
I didn't really give an answer there.
Yeah, no, because there isn't one. I suppose the only thing I think he might go Jones, Sam, is because Szoboszlai looked knackered at the end of that Southampton game. Like he was literally. There was a point where there was like a minute to go. I was like, the manager needs to get him off. Like he couldn't move, and and fair play to him. He'd ran his balls off. Like
he's been flogged the last year or so, hasn't he?
He'd been legged everywhere. So maybe that plays into it a bit as well.
I do think though Szoboszlai, especially if we're talking about Madrid, won't sit back too much. Szoboszlai is very good at getting in behind as that third man runner, as the 10. Yeah. Not saying Jones can't do that. He did that against Chelsea and scored from it. But Szoboszlai, though he was knackered at the weekend, I would back him with pace-wise over Jones, getting in behind. Whether he can then, I'd argue Jones is the better passer in the final third, but I don't think he gets in the same position Szoboszlai does running beyond Salah.
So it's a good problem to have. Can I give you my front three take? I mean, I say can I? I'm hosting the show. I will. I think Luis Diaz is going to play up front.
I can see that,
and I think it's going to be Salah and Gakpo either side of him, and I think Nunez is going to play against Man City. That's what I think the manager's going to do. I think he's going to go Diaz centre forward again because he only plays half an hour or so at the weekend. Mm-hmm. Nunez haven't played for Uruguay and then come back. I think this is the game where maybe he says to Darwin half an hour off the bench and says to Diaz, go and have a little go up front again.
If it's a very similar situation to Leverkusen in that he played Diaz because he said Tar was more comfortable against the target man, I can see that being a similar kind of situation where Rudiger would like that physical battle as well. And I think Nunez would try to give it him. And I think late on, I'm not sure Rudiger actually tires, to be honest with you. But after maybe he's been
he's a
tested a
joke.
little
I
bit
mean,
with running.
you always talk about Europe's best defenders in the world. Like, he very rarely comes up in the comp. He's brilliant, Rudiger. Like, he's fantastic.
His turn of pace is beyond the best, or amongst the best I've
He's always
seen
done
from
well against Mo
Salah.
Salah, I feel, as well. He kind of hits him early, doesn't he? And as it'll go, we'll be interested to see how Salah reacts. Because that will happen at some point. He'll lay one on him.
Have he played with Salah maybe at Roma?
I'm not sure, but I know every time he played against him for Chelsea, he absolutely webbed him, like, as early and often as he could. Which again, like, fair play to him, but he's a top player, Rudiger. I agree. I think if you asked him, he'd rather that battle with Darwin Núñez than maybe Diaz running away from him.
I also think it's an indictment on Núñez. I'm not saying he's been poor, but we're a completely different team with him in the side. I think as much as he has improved with his build-up play and his link-up play, I still don't think we've quite recovered from losing Firmino, as mad as that sounds,
totally
a couple of years ago.
well, aren't they?
It's just what I mean, and I don't want to like make this like a have a go at Núñez because it's not his game, but Diaz just seems to link play up so much more. If Núñez doesn't score, I don't feel like he's in the game at the moment, whereas Diaz, he'll be constantly getting at you, and Gakpo's been too good to drop as well.
It depends again, because I can see a world where Madrid kind of play a bit deeper. And I think that's true to Diaz rather than a Núñez. Like, Núñez wants that space in behind a bit. To answer your question, by the way, they play together in Roma for a year. So you're not wrong there. It's interesting though, Chris, because we all remember Luis Diaz scored a hat-trick in the last Champions League game, but actually, I mean, 2 of them came when he was playing on the left wing. Like, it's worth mentioning. Like, it wasn't like he didn't do a lot at centre forward, and we were all thinking, when's it going to change? And before you know it, Curtis Jones plays the pass of dreams, and then Luis Diaz with the finish of dreams. So we know it can happen. Again, I just don't see where Núñez plays all of them, because they definitely are looking after him. Jota's still a little while away. What would you do?
I probably would go with that. Salah starts, and we could wax lyrical about Salah probably until tomorrow night at kickoff. So then it's 2 of the 3 for the other 2 spots, and I do agree on what Sam's saying on Núñez, because as well, I made a comment on Friday that under Slot, Liverpool just aren't really looking to play the ball over the top and behind that much. And you get the feeling that's what Núñez wants to do. And in a game like tomorrow, to be honest with you, when I say about Real playing a high line, late on especially, that could maybe be something that he thrives upon. But I do think because Gakpo only played an hour, Diaz only half an hour, it just feels like it'd be naturally those 2. And I'm going to be really interested to see, if it is Diaz through the middle, how deep he drops. Does he try and draw Rudiger into a position like that? Because you mentioned Firmino, that was one of the key things he did. Just dropping deep and then allowing Mane and Salah to make those runs in behind. And I think the fullback areas probably are where you can get at Real a little bit. And just on Salah, because I do want to mention him, he hasn't really had, because I think he might have tried to hit it too hard sometimes, that moment against Real since Ramos, basically.
He had one where the goalie kicked at him.
That's
about it.
I think he'll want, if he wants that really big shot of redemption, and look, a league phase Champions League game wouldn't be the same as doing it in the semi-final or the final, but the mood he's in, I'm really excited to see how he does.
He's got a point to prove, certainly, because after his comments, he's
got to back that up, hasn't he?
He absolutely has. It's interesting, Sam, to go back to Madrid a little bit on their fullback issues. Whether it's a Mendy who's just coming back, whether it's Fran Garcia, whether it looks like it's probably going to be Vazquez at right back, or whatever they decide to do. That is an area I think where Arne Slot and Liverpool, they always look to attack wide anyway. That's where the best players often play, but if he gets Salah up against whoever, whether it's a Mendy or a Garcia at right back, if it's Gakpo, for example, against Vazquez, they're 2 battles, or it's Diaz, that Liverpool, I think, will be confident in. They'll be looking at the same way. They'll be going Mbappe against the Bradley, and out of form Robertson against whoever. But I think Liverpool will be thinking the same things. Madrid haven't got their best full-back options. They're all injured or just coming back from injury.
Yeah, if there's one area in the team which you think is a weak point, then it's the full-backs. And I think Ancelotti's very good at getting the best out of players that aren't necessarily elite level. And so Garcia at left-back.
Fran Garcia
at left-back. He's a technically good player. But I think with Salah, you mentioned him kind of Rudiger getting pulled out, hopefully. And then we saw at the weekend, Salah's goal actually was an example of him getting in behind the fullback, which we see less nowadays. I think he picks up the ball deeper now and drives into and sort of drives at the penalty area, because maybe because he hasn't got the pace he used to get in behind. But Garcia's not particularly quick from what I've seen. I haven't watched loads, but from what I've seen, he's more of a Zinchenko type fullback, though he is left-footed, I think.
Yeah.
So Salah can really hopefully exploit that. And on the other side, Gakpo too. It's funny because Gakpo's probably also the same. I think he likes to get the ball deep and run at players. 100%. So it'll be interesting to see whether we do kind of try and exploit them.
Yeah, and again, they play Valverde at right back. I'd be shocked if Valverde plays right back here. You'd think it's probably going to go, but like I say, they are without.
But even Vasquez isn't really a natural right back.
No,
I would argue.
Absolutely not. He doesn't want to be. He doesn't really want to be there. But like I say, needs must. He's lost his two options. Obviously, Carvajal, Alaba would be an option there. You'd think perhaps without everyone, he could do. Who's the other one they're missing? Militao. He could have done something where they moved people across and stuff. But yeah, they are where they are.
He's basically like Jesus Navas, isn't he? In that he was a winger and has dropped back now, older age, of course, as well.
He's won about 1 million trophies though, Lucas Vázquez. That's the thing, because he's been there for so long and they just keep winning. Like his medal collection's outrageous.
Second best right back in the world, Ancelotti.
He did say that, and Valverde's third. He forgot Conor Bradley. he would put him in that mix as well. I don't know if we've picked a team there, but I think we have between us.
Around about just slash Jones, I think. Are we decided on Gomez right back?
I think I would play Gomez at right back. Yeah.
I don't think he will, but I think you've talked us into it.
Yeah.
Listen, he's the boss. He can do what he wants. He can't do no wrong at this moment in time, can he? So we'll see how he gets on with that one. I suppose just having a very quick look around, like we always do, guys, at this competition and where we're at in the stages so far, and the games. Again, at time recording it, but we are on Tuesday, looking at big games like City playing Feyenoord. Like this is where City, I'm hoping actually win. But get put into a game, because if they come to Anfield and like 6 on the bounce and they don't lose 7, like I wouldn't mind them just if they have to make them work for a little bit, I suppose. But listen, if they get beat as well, I'll take it every day. I suppose the biggest game, you got Bayern PSG tonight, which would be a good one. Inter Leipzig, Arsenal going to Sporting's a difficult one. Like this is the phase now, Chris. I thought would you be like the league is starting to take shape, and there's some teams there, us included. Those big games, like there's a lot of big ones here. It feels like there's a lot of 1v2 seeds and all that kind of stuff going on. After this, it's going to be really interesting because the pressure's going to be on a few of these teams after this week.
Well, you mentioned, obviously, at the start about Real aren't in a great position in this. Bayern and PSG have not had good campaigns at all.
PSG are currently 25th in this.
Bayern started well, didn't they? And then
they was it 9-2 against Dinamo Zagreb, and then lost at Villa, got thumped at Barcelona.
They're the same as Madrid. They've won 2, lost 2. Yeah. And PSG, like I say, PSG have only got 4 points. There's some big teams here who are on the teetering a little bit, Sam.
I feel like though that the problem with the league phase is that even though they won't get in that top 8, there's very little kind of pressure on them, because it's so unlikely that they're going to finish in that bottom 6. Is it bottom 8?
But then with PSG, we've said it for years, haven't we? That
12, probably.
Yeah,
bottom 12.
When they come up against, I don't want to go as far as to say decent, but when they come up against a really capable team from outside of France, how often have they just fallen apart? Really?
They're struggling now. As it stands, they wouldn't be through. They're 25th. And there's a very good chance going to Bayern. Sorry, playing against Bayern. They're the, as it stands, if you were going to get what you'd call like a big casualty, PSG now going to Bayern, having not being in that top phase, they're in big trouble. Arsenal going to Sporting to the battle after either Sam. Again, we're looking at that more from like what's ahead for Arsenal. They play West Ham at the weekend, of course. West Ham won last night against Newcastle. Will be feeling better about themselves now. Again, the gap is a bit different with them playing Tuesday. But listen, Sporting, I understand new manager because the last one's now at United, but they battered Manchester City last time out. Like if Arsenal can get given the run around there, regardless of the results, I think we'd all be pretty pleased.
Yeah, I think Arsenal are arguably playing, well, they're definitely playing better than Manchester City at the moment. At the weekend, they were excellent by all accounts. Saka was back on form. The goal he scored was fantastic.
Yeah, he's great.
He's impressing me more by the week. Saka actually, he's stepping up a bit more. Odegaard's back as well now, so you'd expect that they've had their little dip in form. That's not to say they'll go and win every game now, but the the more difficult they can make them in midweek, hopefully Gyökeres, is that how you pronounce it? Gyökeres. It'll be interesting to see how he does, because obviously he was at Coventry, wasn't he?
Yeah,
and
Coventry
then
City, yeah.
Gone to Portugal, and he's obviously done really well. And you'd expect Premier League clubs to be in for him. So
Man United probably.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how he does against a good Premier League team.
Well, the last one he did, he wiped the floor with them a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, there's some big games to be had. Right then, that is the show done. Before we go, guys, Liverpool, Real Madrid, score predictions. What can I get from you?
I think it could be a really massive game in terms of Arne Slot's early era at Liverpool. I'm going to go, I think it'll be a boss game. I think it'll be end-to-end 3-1 Liverpool.
I'm going to go 2-0 to Liverpool.
I'm going to say 2-1 to Liverpool, with Mo Salah scoring a goal and getting booked for taking his top off again for the second time. Right in front of his banner, that's telling him to get his new contract, which he'll seek it out and then get right in front of it with his top off. Ashley Bronson's gone for 3-1. Stuart's gone for 2-1 in at the chat as well. Let us know in the comment section on YouTube or via your social medias if you are listening to this as a podcast, your score predictions. Very, very quickly, before we go, we'll have to watch along for the game tomorrow. I don't have the pleasure of going to the game like the lads. I will be in the studio, which is just as good, with Errol. We'll be live about an hour and 20 minutes before kick-off, so that's like 6:40 UK time. Work it out for yourselves, wherever you are. We'll be live from that moment until an hour after kick-off with the build-up, with the watch-along, and then with all the post-game content as well. So do come and check that out on the YouTube channel. Especially, I was saying, if you're in work, for example, you're in America, or you're more to the west of us, and you could just sneak us in your ear, and we'll commentate for you if you're not able to watch the game as well. Like I mentioned before, the Legend competition that is running out. And also, if you want even more content, including the Oppo preview that Dan hosted yesterday, Redmen Plus is the place to go. In fact, if you sign up today as a yearly captain and use that promo code TOP, you'll get a year's worth of content, half price. So that includes from today for a whole year, which will include Liverpool winning the quadruple, Mo Salah's new contract, Virgil van Dijk's new contract, Trent Alexander-Arnold's new contract, when we sign Kylian Mbappe because he's got a cob on. You'll have all the content here. We've got you covered every step of the way. Right, guys, thanks so much for coming in. You're the absolute best. Thanks all you guys for watching or listening, and join us for Liverpool versus Real Madrid tomorrow. See you there.